Sometimes, my friends, bar the wound isn't the painful part. Bar the painful part, B is realizing who handed you the knife. We've all been there. Bar someone we loved, disappointed us, bar someone we trusted, betrayed us, someone we opened our heart to, walked right through it, bar, and in those moments, we question ourselves more than we question them. Was I not enough? Bar, did I deserve this? Bar, should I give them another chance? But life has a gentle way of whispering the truth. But trust is not something you rebuild by words, but by character. And character is revealed not in apologies, BR, but in actions. Today, let's walk together through 7 lessons, BR 7 truths, BR that will help you guard your heart without hardening it. BR and trust wisely without losing your capacity to love. There is a quiet wisdom in life that often arrives wrapped in pain. It whispers to us softly in the aftermath of betrayal. When someone shows you their character, believe it the first time. But because our hearts are tender and hopeful, we often refuse to listen. We tell ourselves stories, we create excuses, we wish their actions were exceptions. Our compassion becomes our confusion, and our kindness becomes a doorway through which hurt walks in freely. But the truth remains. Bar character is not a mask a person wears. Character is the echo of their choices, the fragrance of their intentions, the shadow of their inner world. You can hide your face, you can change your words, but you cannot conceal the pattern of your actions. Actions speak the language of truth. They speak even when the mouth is silent. Think of a time in your own life when someone hurt you and you immediately try to justify it. They were stressed. Maybe I misunderstood. They didn't mean it. We smooth the sharp edges of reality because we want the people we love to be better than their behavior. And while compassion is beautiful, denial is dangerous. Because when you refuse to acknowledge someone's true nature, you end up negotiating with your own pain. Imagine holding a piece of glass, believing it to be harmless despite it cutting your fingers every time you touch it. You don't hate the glass, but you must acknowledge what it is. Otherwise, the wounds deepen and the scars multiply. People are not glass, but the metaphor holds true. Some individuals have sharp edges carved by their own wounds, their upbringing, their insecurities, or their lack of self-awareness. But if they repeatedly hurt you, it is not your responsibility to soften their nature. It is your responsibility to protect your heart. There is an old saying, when a person's actions contradict their promises, trust their actions. Words are easy, words are cheap, words cost nothing, but actions cost a person their time, their habits, their integrity. And it is in that cost that their truth is revealed. You see, people rarely hurt us accidentally. Even if the action was unintentional, the pattern reveals the reality. One mistake can happen, 2 mistakes can be forgiven, but repeated hurt is a reflection of who they are, not what happened. Life gives us subtle signs long before it gives us loud lessons. The problem is, we ignore the signs because we want the story to turn out differently. Sometimes we trust too quickly because we fear losing someone. Sometimes we overlook red flags because the heart is longing for connection. And sometimes we simply believe that love can transform anyone. But love cannot rewrite character. Love can inspire change, yes, but it cannot force it. It cannot demand what the heart is unwilling to offer. You cannot teach someone how to respect you if they have no desire to learn. When someone shows you who they are through dishonesty, neglect, manipulation, disrespect, it is not your job to paint them with softer colors. It is your job to see clearly. Pain becomes a teacher when we are willing to become students, and the first lesson it teaches is discernment. To look beyond the emotional attachment and observe the reality of how someone treats you. To listen not only to what they say, but to what they repeatedly do. Understanding this does not mean becoming cynical. It does not mean shutting down your heart, closing the door to relationships, or assuming ill intent in everyone. It simply means being awake. It means valuing your peace more than your fear of being alone. It means understanding that trust is sacred and not everyone deserves equal access to your heart. Life becomes lighter when you stop expecting people to be who you wish they were and start accepting them for who they are, not with bitterness but with clarity, not with anger but with wisdom. You can still care for someone and refuse to tolerate their harmful behavior. You can still love someone and choose not to let them close again. And you can still wish them well from a healthy distance. This is not punishment. This is protection. When someone reveals their nature through how they speak to you, how they show up, how they treat your boundaries, how they handle your vulnerability, pay attention. Not because you want to judge them, but because you want to honor yourself. Your heart is not a place for experiments. Your trust is not a tool for someone else's growth. Your peace is not a battlefield for someone else's chaos. You deserve sincerity. You deserve loyalty. You deserve people whose character aligns with their words. And when someone shows you the opposite, believe it. Not with sadness, but with strength. Not with fear, but with grace. Trust wisely, love deeply, but see clearly. Be you are. A second chance is one of the most sacred gifts we can offer another human being. It is not a transaction, not a casual gesture, not something we hand out lightly. A second chance is hope extended in the direction of some Eon who has already shown us their imperfections. It is grace in human form. It is love choosing to believe again despite having every reason to withdraw. But somewhere along the way, many people mistake a second chance for an endless supply of chances. They assume that because you forgave once, you will forgive forever. They assume that because your heart is soft, it must also be blind. They forget that compassion is strength, not weakness, and strength has limits. Think about the story of the man who kept saving the scorpion from drowning. Each time he lifted the scorpion from the water, it stung him. Someone asked him, "Why do you keep saving it when you know it will hurt you?" The man replied, "Its nature is to sting, my nature is to save. But I am learning to save it in a way that protects me." There is deep wisdom in that story. It teaches us that your goodness does not need to disappear just because someone around you fails to honor it. But it also teaches you to adjust your approach, not your humanity. When you give someone a second chance, you are offering them an opportunity to grow, not a license to repeat. You are opening the door for redemption, not enabling a cycle of hurt. Second chances are meant for people who recognize the weight of what they've been given. They are not for those who walk back into your life with the same careless hands that broke you the first time. A sincere person will treat a second chance like a fragile gift. A selfish person will treat it like a reset button. And this is where wisdom must guide the heart, because compassion without clarity becomes self-destruction. When you offer a second chance, watch closely, not with suspicion, but with awareness. Do they recognize your forgiveness as grace, or do they treat it as convenience? Do they return with humility, or do they return with entitlement? Do they take responsibility for their past behavior, or do they rewrite the story to avoid accountability? Their attitude will tell you everything long before their actions do. People who genuinely want to change will show it. They will step gently around your wounds, not because you demand it, but because they care. They will adjust their behavior, not because you insist, but because your forgiveness awakened gratitude within them. They won't ask for trust, they will earn it. They won't argue with your boundaries, they will respect them. This is the kind of person who deserves a second chance. But the one who returns unchanged, unreflective, unbothered by the pain they caused, that person is not seeking restoration. They are seeking comfort. They are seeking access. They are seeking what you provide, not who you are. And giving such people another chance does not heal them, it harms you. We often keep giving chances not because the person deserves them, but because we are afraid of letting go. We fear the emptiness their absence might create. We fear loneliness. We fear starting over. But the truth is, holding on to someone who repeatedly hurts you does not fill the emptiness, it deepens it. It teaches your heart to shrink. It teaches your spirit to settle. It teaches your soul to accept less than it deserves. A second chance is meant to be a bridge, not a trapdoor. It is meant to lead to transformation, not repetition. And if the same behavior continues after the second chance, it is not an accident. It is a pattern. Patterns reveal priorities. And if someone repeatedly hurts you, their priority is not your peace. Their priority is their comfort. You are allowed to give someone a second chance, but you are also allowed to walk away if they misuse it. Forgiveness does not require endurance of repeated pain. Compassion does not require submission to disrespect. Love does not mean abandoning yourself to accommodate someone else's brokenness. A second chance is an opportunity. If they honor it, they deserve your heart. If they abuse it, they deserve your distance. Do not feel guilty for protecting your peace. Do not feel cruel for choosing yourself. Do not feel unkind for closing a door that someone keeps slamming in your face. Remember this: you can be kind without being careless. You can be loving without being naive. You can be forgiving without being foolish. And you can give a second chance without offering a third. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood gifts we give ourselves. Most people think forgiveness is about excusing someone's behavior, letting them back in, or pretending the wound never happened. But forgiveness is not the reunion of two people. Forgiveness is the liberation of one. It is the quiet decision to stop drinking the poison that someone else served you. It is the healing of your own heart, not the restoration of a relationship that may no longer deserve your presence. There comes a moment in every wounded heart's journey when you finally realize that holding on to anger is not strength. It drains you, it darkens your vision, it keeps you connected to someone who no longer belongs in your life. Every time you replay the memory, the hurt tightens its grip on your soul. And the person who caused the pain, they are often living their life unaware or unaffected. So the real battle is not between you and them. It is between you and the memory that refuses to loosen its hold. Forgiveness is not about healing the past. The past cannot be rewritten. Forgiveness heals the present. It opens the curtains to let light back into the room where grief, betrayal, and resentment have been sitting for far too long. Forgiveness is saying, I refuse to let what you did continue harming me. It is reclaiming your emotional freedom. It is choosing peace over bitterness, clarity over confusion, and healing over hatred. But forgiveness is not the same thing as reconciliation. Reconciliation requires two hearts willing to rebuild. Forgiveness requires only one heart that is ready to let go. You can genuinely forgive someone and still decide never to walk that path with them again. Because forgiving the wound does not mean inviting the weapon back into your home. Forgiveness protects your spirit. Boundaries protect your future. Many times we confuse forgiveness with an obligation to restore trust. But trust is a completely separate journey. Trust is fragile, delicate, easily broken, and slowly rebuilt. Forgiveness is a spiritual act. Trust is a relational contract. You can release the pain while still refusing to reopen the door. You can say, I wish you well, from a safe distance. You can pray for someone while keeping them out of your personal space. This is not hypocrisy. This is wisdom. When we forgive, we soften our hearts without surrendering our self-respect. We choose compassion without choosing repeated suffering. We honor God by releasing the resentment, but we honor ourselves by stepping away from environments that damage our well-being. And that balance is the essence of emotional maturity. Forgiveness does not validate what they did. It does not erase the wrongdoing. It does not minimize your pain. It simply removes the burden that has been sitting on your chest for far too long. It is not about them. It is about you, your peace, your clarity, your mental freedom, your ability to breathe again without the weight of betrayal pressing against your ribs. You may not forget what happened, and you don't need to. Forgetting is not the goal. Remembering without hurting is. Remembering without being triggered is. remembering without allowing the memory to dictate your self-worth is. When you forgive, you take back your narrative. You reclaim your strength. You stop letting the past control the present moment. There is a gentle power in forgiveness, a sacred shift where the heart recognizes that carrying bitterness is far heavier than releasing it. You begin to see that the person who hurt you did so from their own wounds, their own limitations, their own unhealed spaces. Understanding this doesn't justify their behavior, but it does help you detach from it. You stop personalizing their actions. You stop seeing yourself as the reason for their shortcomings. You stop believing that you were unworthy of better treatment. And slowly, your heart starts to breathe again. Forgiveness is a journey, not a lightning strike. Some days you will feel completely free. Other days the pain may whisper again. But every day you choose forgiveness, the whisper becomes weaker. Every day you choose release, your spirit grows lighter. Every day you choose peace, God restores a part of your heart that the hurt once claimed. You forgive not to bring them closer, but to release yourself from the emotional prison their actions created. You forgive because carrying anger is too heavy for the soul that longs to grow. You forgive because you deserve freedom more than you deserve revenge. You forgive because the future God has prepared for you cannot be reached while your hands are still gripping the past. Forgive God, move forward for yourself, and never mistake letting go of resentment for welcoming someone back. One heals the heart, the other exposes it. Choose the path that protects your peace. Trust is one of the most delicate threads in a relationship. It is woven slowly, intentionally, through repeated actions, small gestures, consistent behavior, and reliable presence. Yet it can be torn apart in a single moment. And once that thread breaks, rebuilding it is not about grand promises or poetic apologies. It is about patterns. Patterns that reflect sincerity, growth, responsibility, and commitment. Anyone can promise change, but only the truly transformed can live it. Think of trust as a bridge between two hearts. When someone breaks your trust, they don't just create a crack in the bridge, they collapse part of its structure. Now, to rebuild that bridge, they cannot simply stand at the edge and shout, "I'm sorry," or "Trust me again." A collapsed bridge requires effort, brick by brick, plank by plank. Every action becomes a repair. Every choice becomes a test. Every moment becomes a reminder of whether the person genuinely wants to restore what they damaged or simply wants the convenience of crossing again. Bar promises are easy. They appeal to emotions. They momentarily soften the hurt. But promises without action turn into manipulation. They give you hope without giving you change. And if you aren't careful, you begin to cling to the words while reality tells a different story. That is why trusting promises is dangerous unless they are followed by consistent patterns. Not one-time gestures, not temporary improvements driven by guilt. Patterns reveal who a person truly is when no one is watching. Patterns show whether the apology was an impulse of guilt or an invitation to transformation. Patterns demonstrate whether someone respects your boundaries or resents them, whether they care about your heart or simply care about maintaining access to your life. Imagine someone breaking a glass vase that took years to create. They apologize sincerely, they sweep up the pieces. But what next? Do they rebuild the vase patiently, honoring the fragility of what was lost, or do they expect you to pretend the vase was never broken, leaving you to hold the responsibility of ignoring the cracks? Many people apologize because losing you scares them, but few change because hurting you scares them. And the difference lies not in what they say, but in what they repeatedly do. Real change is not emotional, it is behavioral. It doesn't show up in words spoken during Iono moments, it shows up in habits built during ordinary days. It shows up when they choose honesty over convenience, when they choose transparency over secrecy, when they choose consistency over comfort, when they choose to show up even when they don't feel like it. Trust cannot be rebuilt by someone who believes they deserve instant forgiveness. Trust can only be rebuilt by someone who understands that healing takes time. Someone willing to sit with your discomfort without blaming you for it. Someone willing to earn your reassurance rather than demand your trust. Someone who recognizes that if they broke something precious, the least they can do is offer patience, not pressure. Sometimes the hard truth is this: people want forgiveness far more than they want accountability. They want the relationship restored without restoring their own character. They want the benefits of trust without the discipline required to uphold it. And that is why you must observe patterns, not promises. Promises are emotional. Patterns are educational. They teach you whether this person belongs in your future or only existed as a chapter in your past. You are not obligated to trust someone again just because they apologized. You are not required to forget the hurt simply because they claim they've changed. Your heart is not a switch they can turn back on with the right words. Your healing is a process. Your boundaries are sacred. Your peace is a priority. Rebuilding trust requires consistency over time. It requires humility on their part and wisdom on yours. It requires them to walk the talk, not talk the walk. It requires a shift in their choices, not just their tone. And if someone refuses to show a consistent pattern of change, then they are showing you exactly what you need to know. They are not ready to hold your trust again. So don't listen for change, look for it. Let their actions be the evidence. Let their patterns be the truth. Let time reveal whether their intentions are sincere or temporary. And above all, remember, trust is not rebuilt by those who ask for it. Trust is rebuilt by those who prove that losing you was the wake-up call they needed. Protecting your heart is one of the most misunderstood responsibilities in life. People often confuse it with being guarded, closed off, or unwilling to love. But protecting your heart is not an act of fear. It is an act of stewardship. Your heart is not a public space, it is a sacred place. It is the temple from which your peace flows, your faith strengthens, and your purpose grows. And anything sacred must be protected, not because it is fragile, but because it is valuable. Think of a gardener tending to a delicate flower. He does not put fences around it because he distrusts the world. He protects it because he understands its worth. He knows that if he leaves it exposed, careless feet might trample it, harsh wind might damage it, and uninvited hands might pluck its beauty without appreciating its growth. The gardener's walls are not built out of fear, they are built out of love. In the same way, the boundaries you set in life are not walls against humanity. They are fences of wisdom around your peace. Sometimes we allow others too much access to our emotions because our heart is naturally generous. We want to give, we want to love, we want to help, we want to support. But generosity without discernment is how wounds enter. And many people who hurt us never intended to do so maliciously. Sometimes their intentions are good, but their habits are unhealthy. Sometimes their love is real, but their lack of self-awareness is damaging. Sometimes their presence is warm, but their patterns are cold. This is why protecting your heart is essential. It is not about assuming the worst in people. It is about honoring the best in yourself. Every time you allow someone to repeatedly disrespect you, you are teaching your heart that it must accept pain to keep love. Every time you minimize your feelings to preserve someone else's comfort, you are telling your soul that your truth is negotiable. Every time you stay silent around someone who constantly crosses your boundaries, you are giving away pieces of your peace, one small fragment at a time. Eventually, your heart becomes tired, not because it's weak, but because it's overworked from trying to survive environments it should have walked away from. Protecting your heart means recognizing your emotional limits. It means understanding that you cannot pour into others endlessly without refilling yourself. It means understanding that certain relationships, no matter how meaningful they once were, no longer reflect your growth. And letting go is not cruelty, it's clarity. Walking away is not pride, it's protection. You are responsible for the emotional energy you allow into your life. You are responsible for the people you surround yourself with. You are responsible for the conversations you engage in, the environments you tolerate, and the behaviors you permit. Protecting your heart is not selfish. Selfishness is when you think only of yourself. Protection is when you honor what God gave you so that you can serve others without losing yourself in the process. Sometimes the greatest danger to your heart is not the obvious enemy, but the familiar presence, the person you've known for years but who never truly respected your boundaries. The friend who takes more than they give. The partner who apologizes but never changes. The family member who calls their hurtful behavior just who I am. You don't protect your heart from strangers. It's the people closest to you who have the greatest capacity to damage your peace. And that is why boundaries are not optional. They are necessary. You can forgive someone and still protect your heart from them. You can love someone and still love yourself more. You can show kindness without allowing access. You can speak gently while standing firmly. This is strength. This is maturity. This is stewardship. When you protect your heart, you create space for the right people to enter. People who treat your vulnerability with reverence, who honor your boundaries with care, who support your dreams without jealousy, and who walk with you without stepping on your spirit. When you protect your heart, you allow love to flow in healthier directions. You create emotional gardens where peace grows, where joy breathes, where faith strengthens. Protecting your heart is not about closing doors. It is about choosing which doors deserve to remain open. It's not about distrusting everyone. It's about trusting God to guide you toward those who value you. It's not about avoiding pain entirely. It's about refusing unnecessary pain that comes from ignoring your worth. Remember, your heart is precious. Your peace is priceless. Your well-being is sacred. Protect it not with fear, but with wisdom. Not with walls, but with boundaries. Not with hardness, but with understanding. When you protect your heart, you are honoring the gift God placed within you, and there is no greater act of self-respect than that. There are moments in life when the most loving thing you can do is step back, not out of anger, not out of pride, not out of punishment, but out of clarity. Distance is not always a sign of rejection. Sometimes it is a sign of respect for yourself, for your peace, and for the life God is calling you to build. When someone repeatedly hurts you, drains you, undervalues you, or disrupts your emotional balance, stepping away is not cruelty, it is wisdom. The heart needs space to breathe, and the soul needs silence to heal. We grow up believing that staying close to people is always an act of love, that fighting to hold on is noble, that loyalty requires endurance at all costs. But real loyalty is never self-destructive. It is never meant to cost you your mental peace or spiritual strength. When a relationship, romantic, familial, or friendly, begins to damage your inner world, stepping back isn't abandonment, it is alignment. You are aligning yourself with what is healthy, holy, and necessary for your growth. Distance creates perspective. When you are too close to someone, their patterns become normalized. The disrespect feels smaller. The excuses feel more believable. The apologies feel convincing even when the behavior does not change. Proximity can blur your vision, but distance restores it. When you step back, you begin to see the situation for what it truly is, not what you've convinced yourself it should be. You begin to understand that love is not supposed to hurt repeatedly. Respect is not supposed to be negotiated. Peace is not supposed to be rare. Sometimes God uses distance to reveal truth. When you pull away, see who reaches out and who doesn't, who takes responsibility and who blames you, who grows and who stays stagnant, who values your absence and who is only benefiting from your presence. Distance becomes a filter, separating those who truly care from those who only cared about convenience. There is a quiet strength in stepping away. It takes courage to say, I need space. It takes self-awareness to acknowledge that staying close is making you smaller, weaker, emptier. It takes faith to trust that you are not losing someone, you are finding yourself again. And it takes emotional maturity to realize that your well-being is not a sacrifice you must offer for the sake of maintaining connection. Distance doesn't always mean cutting ties. It doesn't always mean disappearing. Sometimes it simply means reducing emotional access. It means adjusting how much energy you give. It means no longer responding to chaos with urgency. It means no longer prioritizing someone who does not prioritize you. This isn't coldness, it's balance. It's protecting your peace while still wishing them well from afar. Imagine standing in a room filled with smoke. You don't stay and inhale it just to prove you love the room. You step out to breathe. You step out to survive. The relationship may still matter, but your lungs matter too. In the same way, stepping back from someone who repeatedly hurts you is not an act of betrayal, it is an act of self-preservation. People often confuse access with importance. Just because someone has known you the longest doesn't mean they treat you the best. Just because someone is close in proximity does not mean they are close in heart. Distance teaches you that not every presence is healthy and not every absence is loss, and sometimes distance is the only language some people understand. When words no longer have impact, when boundaries are ignored, when respect fades, your silence and your absence speak louder. They show that you are no longer willing to participate in your own hurt. They show that your heart is no longer an open field where anyone can walk in with muddy feet. But here is the beautiful paradox. Distance can lead to healing not just for you, but also for the other person. Sometimes stepping away gives them the chance to reflect, to grow, to understand the weight of their actions. Sometimes your absence becomes the mirror they needed to face themselves honestly, and if they choose to change, the relationship may find renewal. If they choose not to change, then distance has already done its work. It protected you from further pain. You are not meant to shrink yourself to fit into someone's limited capacity to love. You are not meant to stay in places where your value is forgotten. You are not meant to carry the emotional burdens of others at the expense of your own soul. Distance is not the enemy. It is the doorway through which your peace returns. Babia, remember, stepping back is not giving up. It is growing up. And sometimes the space you create becomes the space where your heart finally remembers how to breathe. There comes a moment in every person's life when the heart finally understands one simple truth. Peace is found not in being surrounded by many people, but in being surrounded by the right people. People who choose you not out of convenience, not out of habit, not out of need, but out of genuine love, respect, and intention. Choose people who choose you is not just a beautiful sentiment, it is the foundation of emotional health, spiritual growth, and meaningful relationships. We often exhaust ourselves, trying to prove our worth to people who were never meant to recognize it. We bend, stretch, and fold ourselves into shapes that feel unnatural, all in the hope that someone will finally see our value. But love that requires you to earn it is not love. Acceptance that demands you to shrink is not acceptance. Respect that must be begged for is not true respect. The right people don't need to be convinced, you simply matter to them. Choosing people who choose you doesn't mean expecting perfection. No relationship, friendship, family, or romantic is flawless. People will fail, misunderstand, disappoint, and hurt one another at times. But the right people rise after they fall. They apologize after they hurt. They adjust after they see your pain. They don't walk away when things get difficult. They walk closer. They don't love you only in good moods. They love you in good character. Think of the people in your life who celebrate your wins without jealousy, who stand by you in storms without hesitation, who show up consistently without needing reminders. These are not ordinary people. They are blessings. When life gets heavy, it is these individuals who lift you. When you doubt your path, they speak faith into your future. When you face the world's noise, they become the calm in your chaos. Choosing these people and letting them choose you creates a circle of strength around your soul. And yet, many of us are drawn to places where we are tolerated instead of appreciated. We hold on to people who make us feel like an option. We chase validation from those who barely offer attention. We cling to relationships that drain us because we confuse familiarity with destiny. But being familiar is not the same as being faithful. And being around someone is not the same as being valued by them. The right people make you feel safe, not anxious. They bring out your strengths, not your insecurities. They speak truth with kindness, not criticism with cruelty. Even when they correct you, you feel uplifted, not diminished. Their presence feels like home, not a battlefield. Their company feels like peace, not tension. They don't compete, they celebrate. They don't belittle, they uplift. They don't take advantage, they contribute. Choosing people who choose you also means releasing those who do not. This is the hardest part, letting go of people you once thought you could never live without. But if someone repeatedly shows through their actions that you are not a priority, you must believe them. Stop rewriting their behavior into hopeful stories. Stop calling their inconsistency busy. Stop calling their indifference stress. Stop calling their disrespect just how they are. Believe what they show you and choose accordingly. When you surround yourself with people who genuinely choose you, your entire life shifts. Your confidence grows because you are no longer trying to perform for approval. Your peace deepens because you no longer live in emotional uncertainty. Your joy expands because you are sharing your life with people who multiply it. When the right people are present, your spirit thrives. When the wrong people leave, your spirit heals. And here is the sacred truth: God often removes people for your protection, not your punishment. When someone exits your life, it may feel painful, but sometimes it is divine intervention. God knows the hearts of people better than you do. He sees the conversations you didn't hear, the intentions you couldn't detect, the paths that would have harmed you. When someone walks away, let them. When someone chooses not to choose you, release them, because every person who leaves creates space for someone who belongs. Choosing people who choose you is ultimately an act of faith. Faith that you deserve healthy relationships. Faith that God will bring the right souls into your life. Faith that love should not be begged for, peace should not be negotiated, and respect should not be requested. It should be offered freely. You deserve people who don't just make you feel loved. You deserve people who make your life feel lighter. Choose them and let them choose you. My friends, as you walk forward from this moment, carry this truth gently in your heart, but God never removes something from your life without preparing something greater in its place. What feels like loss today is often protection.dr. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What feels like an ending is often the quiet beginning of a chapter you were always meant to live. Do not cling to the people who wounded you. Do not chase the doors God has already closed. Do not mourn what was never meant to stay. Instead lift your eyes, step into your worth. Choose peace over pain, clarity over confusion, and purpose over fear. Because when you honor your heart, you honor the God who created it. And remember this forever. But the people who are meant for you will not hurt your soul to hold your hand. The people sent by God will not break your spirit to stay in your life. And the love that belongs to you will never require you to abandon yourself. Walk forward with faith. Walk forward with wisdom. Walk forward with courage. Your best days are not behind you. They are unfolding right now, guided by a God who never stops writing beautiful endings for those who trust Him.